I feel like I need to explain this title for a minute, but if any of you are dinosaurs like me and remember the show The Hills, the reality show, they had a spin-off called The City, and like the villain of that show, she worked for a fashion magazine and she was doing an article about dupes, like of handbags, designer dupes, and the whole thing was staged. So she was like walking down the street in New York, and then this random dude is like walking in the street and he's singing da Gucci, da Fendi, da Prada, da Louis Vuitton. And she's like, that's my man, that's where I'm gonna find the dupe handbags. So yeah, I don't know, for some reason that song just stuck in my head for eternity, and it's very suitable for today's video because I just yesterday saw this incredible documentary. Let me just look up exactly what the title is, but I'm gonna link it in the description box below, obviously, so that you can watch it. It's called Luxury Behind the Mirror of High-End Fashion, and it's a DW documentary. Their documentaries are great. This documentary specifically, such incredible investigative journalism. If there's any journalist awards out there, they should go to these people, because I mean, I was at the edge of my seat just constantly worried about their safety. They pushed it so far, and essentially what they did is they investigated where these luxury materials like leather and fur come from. And I wasn't like shocked to learn any of this, but I was definitely like really disgusted with the way that these high-end luxury brands treat their workers, treat animals. It's repulsive to watch it. And these people just risk their lives to get this information out. So I feel like it's important for me to share this information, to let you guys know that you need to watch this, especially if you know someone that likes designer brands. Send this over to them because I don't think they're gonna very much like designer brands after this. I'm gonna give you a little synopsis of what this documentary is about, and then I'm gonna get into the other problems that I have with designer goods and luxury brands in general. The journalist in this documentary, she goes out to find where the leather for brands like Gucci and Prada and Celine and a lot of other luxury brands, where their leather comes from. She ends up in this leather tannery and she discovers that these Senegalese workers working there are not being paid like fair wages. They are working with very toxic chemicals, and like these machines that process the leather, they're very dangerous, heavy machinery, and a lot of them actually get like their fingers and knuckles cut off and stuff. It's horrifying. The owner of the factory didn't allow them to have bathroom breaks, and he just told them, like, if you want to go to the bathroom, just pee right next to the machine. We can't stop production for you to go to the freaking bathroom. It's disgusting. Not shocked, to be honest. This is standard practice in all sweatshops for fast fashion brands, and clearly very much standard practice for high-end, expensive luxury brands. I mean, the price for most of these luxury brands, like for one handbag, it costs as much as a car, you know, an affordable car, or like a very expensive car, it depends on the bag. And it also makes you think, like, these are workers from Senegal. They're not white. The owners are white. The owners of these brands are white. It seems like pretty apparent to me that there's a lot of racism going on here as well, because in the documentary, the journalist also showed how the Italian workers actually, compared to the immigrant workers, had twice as safer working conditions and twice as less workplace accidents happening. So to me, it's pretty clear that these people are being treated as, I mean, the working conditions are subhuman, and these Senegalese workers are treated as if they're subhuman. And to me, that is clearly racism. So there's not only racism with these brands when it comes to what race their models that are going to advertise their products are going to be, but I mean, it goes so deep to the point where the people making these garments or these accessories are treated as subhuman as well, especially when they're not white. I'm not going to get much into the leather because I've talked about this before, and I've talked about how leather, whether it's from an ethical, sustainable brand, no matter where that leather is coming from, it requires the slaughter of an animal. And I get it because I was okay with leather. I used to be okay with it, and I also used to be okay with fur, and I would pretty much use the excuse, like, if I eat them, I'm okay with wearing them. Like, you can't convince me to not wear fur of like rabbits because I eat rabbits. So what's the difference? It was very easy to ignore all this information when it was just words and to pretend like, I don't care, like I eat them, I wear them, same thing. But once you get to see really where this meat, where this leather is coming from, it becomes real. It becomes an image that you can't wipe out of your brain. And I really challenge all of you that feel like you're okay with this and have the same opinion that I used to have. Just watch these videos that I've linked in the description box. And then let me know how you feel about it. I mean, for me, the moment I watched these videos, I was nauseous. I was disgusted at myself and like the beliefs and the opinions that I had before I knew what I was talking about. And if you see these videos and don't feel anything, I mean, you're probably a psychopath or a sociopath. So, I mean, I have no complaints from you because I don't expect anything different. But if you are a human that can feel emotions, those videos are gonna make you sick. So, yeah, I'm not gonna talk much about the leather, although I already did, but any company that mistreats and tortures and profits off of animals, they're gonna do the same exact thing with the workers. Any leather handbag that you're buying, whether it's ethically made and sustainably sourced, even those, it comes from cruelty. And I can guarantee you that if someone can be that cruel with animals, they don't have a problem only being cruel with animals. So that was very interesting watching that in the documentary. And then moreover, they also went to discover like fur. And I don't think anyone watching this right now is pro fur, new, obviously, pro new fur. But either way, I mean, she investigated like for Max Mara, and she like went to where they're being made, and then she found where the fabrics are being treated, and she found then where the rabbits were coming from in China. And China has no laws that protect animals. Look at this little creature like this, a little monster like this. Imagine keeping it in a cage that's like the same size as her for her entire life, and like they were living over their feces. They were getting respiratory problems from that. They were developing tumors on their faces. Like, it was so bad. It was so bad. And that's where fur comes from. And I highly doubt anyone that isn't a psychopath or a sociopath is comfortable with this and is okay with this. This is a $300 billion industry. We're talking about a lot of money that, you know, the people buying this, they're duped. That's what they are, you know? They're duped into this idea that they're buying into luxury, that they're buying into something expensive and priceless and important. And I was reading this, the Sapiens book. I haven't read the whole thing because my boyfriend has that book and I was just reading some parts of it. But one very interesting part that I read about capitalism was that basically all these brands, any brand essentially, it doesn't actually exist. Like, the brand isn't made of the workers making the product. The brand isn't made of the product because the design changes all the time. And if you change the location where the brand is based, it's still the same brand. These brands, the Gucci, the Fendi, the Prada, all of it, these are all stories. If you take any one of these bags and you remove the logo from them, they're worth nothing. They're just worth as much as the raw materials. So basically, these hundreds of thousands of dollars being paid to purchase these products are just paid to buy this story that this brand is selling. They truly have like no value other than the value of the raw materials. And another interesting thing, when I was working, the last job that I did before starting YouTube was I was doing social media managing for a wedding fashion house. And the designer there, really despicable person, huge misogynist. One of the first things that he ever told me was like, he was like telling me the philosophy of like luxury fashion and expensive goods and stuff like that. And he's like, it's not that this like Gucci, whatever, coat is worth as much as it's priced. It's that the price is so high because the customer wants to know that they can wear something that the plebs can't afford. I cringed. Like, even back then, like my political views and like my social views were not even formed at all. But like hearing that, I was like, oh, ew, you know, that's gross. Like, wanting to wear something so that you can feel superior from everyone else. And it kind of makes you change the opinion that we all have for the people walking around in these designer clothes. Like, we have this like we glorify it in a way, like, oh, it's so cool that they get to wear this designer stuff. Oh my God, they can afford it. That's so amazing. They're so chic or whatever. And all they're wearing is exploitation of workers, racism, exploitation of animals, and a story that's been sold to all of us that doesn't even exist for a brand and a product whose value doesn't even exist. It was very interesting. And I want to know what thoughts you have. Have you ever been like the type of person that just is obsessed with luxury fashion? Because I was, and I have something that I want to show you as well. This is a Chanel purse, and it's a dupe. I got this when I was flight attending, and I had a trip to China, and I bought this purse. The value of this purse to me, the fake one, and a real purse is exactly the same. Like, they're both a symbol of all the things that I mentioned before. And it's so funny to me that I could go from being a person that would be okay with buying a fake Chanel so that I can just show off, like, look at me, I have a Chanel. Like, I'm never gonna tell anyone that it's fake. Everyone's gonna think like I'm so much cooler and like whatever. It's like, I bought this not because I think it's a pretty purse. It's not a very practical one. I just bought it because of what it symbolizes. And the fact that I used to think in a way that I liked what this symbolizes, and I've reached to this point now where I find it disgusting, is, I'm kind of proud of myself that I've reached this point. I obviously don't use this bag anymore. I don't like what it represents, and I don't want, you know, when I go out and wear this, I don't want people to think of me the way I wanted them to think of me. So this is why I don't use this bag anymore. But I do want to DIY it and like kind of show it a lesson. Things need to change. And they not only need to change in the fashion industry. Yes, we need better working conditions. Yes, we need to stop abusing animals for profit. But also, we need to stop consuming as much as we are. And I feel like you already watching this video are evolved enough and already know all of this stuff. But I feel like a lot of the YouTubers that you watch, for example, they're making hundreds of thousands of dollar Gucci hauls, and they're glorifying these brands. They're glorifying these symbols of capitalism and and all the isms. And I feel like you as an audience are more evolved than the people in front of the screen that are meant to tell you how to live your life. So since these roles are opposite, where it used to be that the people behind the camera were the ones that knew more and were more evolved and were shaping the minds of the viewers, now you as the viewer are more intelligent than them. And I feel like you need to start vocalizing your feelings to these creators that are basically creating these trends and are making these brands as popular as they are. Letting them know what these brands stand for. Send them a link with the documentary that I'm talking about. Maybe don't send the link because your comment might be held as spam, but just send them the title of it, tell them to watch it if they want to learn what their luxury products actually mean. Reach out to them on social media and Instagram, DMs, comments, everything. Because I do think that YouTube is having a huge influence on making these brands as popular as they are. Reach out to the people that are wearing these brands and help educate them on what they're supporting, because they're completely ignorant about what they're supporting. And that goes for so many rich, influential people. They're just ignorant about what they're giving their money to, and they're ignorant about how they're making their money and the abuse of labor that is in place that gives them the ability to make all the money that they're making. In the documentary, she was interviewing some of the owners of these brands, and they were just like clueless, supposedly, about the working conditions and all of that stuff. So people making the money that they're making, they don't feel guilty about it because they're not educated on the cost of their wealth, who their wealth is being taken from in order to be given to them. And most of the time, it's their workers that are being abused and underpaid so that they can be making that fat paycheck. Let them know what they're supporting, let them know what these brands stand for, and if they want to continue supporting them, it says a lot about what kind of people they are. We don't need to take part in this whole obsession with consumerism. We don't need new designer bags. If you really want a designer bag, if you really want a leather bag, go with secondhand. Designer products now are being sold secondhand, and it's growing as a market. So if you want something secondhand, it's an option. Now, when it comes to secondhand leather, I'm personally not against it, but do whatever feels right for you. I'm not against it because I know that secondhand leather isn't contributing to the harm of more animals. I also think, I think there was this one designer, I can't remember her name, but she was making leather accessories with roadkill. Would never want to do that as a profession, but if she feels okay working with roadkill, it's not contributing to the death of these animals. And that's what matters to me. I don't care if something is made of leather or not. I don't want animals to be harmed. I don't want workers to be put into these terrible working conditions, working with very harsh chemicals in leather tanneries that are dangerous to their health, with machines that are chopping their freaking limbs off. That's what I don't want. And that's what's important to me. One thing that I get asked very often is if we stop shopping, aren't these people gonna lose their jobs? And this is a huge problem because we have created an economy and a political system in general that is based on consumption. If consumption stops, people lose their jobs and people go broke and people suffer. It's so ridiculous though, because we're allowing the economy to be the one thing that dictates the quality of our lives when we should have the opposite thing happening. We need a political system and an economical system in place that serves us. We are not the ones that should be constantly serving and feeding this system of consumption and capitalism. So essentially what I'm saying is we need to build a political system that serves us humans and our needs. What are our needs? We need food, we need shelter. We have enough land on this planet to shelter all humans. We have enough food on this planet to not only feed all humans, but to feed humans and make them incredibly overweight with the amount of food that we can produce. We have the power and the ability to provide these basic human needs to everyone. But instead, we're building an economy and we're focusing so much on providing humans with things that they don't need and forcing them to take part in a system that perpetuates this need for consumption and destruction of the environment, and more consumption and more destruction of the environment. This is not a system that works. This is not a system that is sustainable. This is a system that has brought us to the point where our planet is on the verge of kicking us out of it. This system of consumption is unsustainable. So what we need to do is change the system, not focus on feeding the system and making sure that everyone has jobs and everyone is constantly consuming, because that's going to lead us to our doom. We need to change the system and make it no longer based on consumption, so that these people, even if they do lose their jobs, they still get to have food and shelter, which is two things that this world can provide bountifully to all of us. Yet we have created systems in place that prevent us from having access to our basic human needs. So that's my answer to that. And obviously, I do believe consuming ethically is very important, making sure that if we must buy something new, then it is done by supporting brands that are doing their best for their workers in the environment. But then again, not all of us have the financial ability to do that, and I am very much aware of that. So I am not here to shame anyone for the way that they consume. But when we're talking about luxury fashion, nobody is in a position where they're forced to do it because financially they can't afford anything else. So let's also be very realistic here. Anyways, I would love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. Reading all your comments in my previous video just really made my day. You're so supportive, and I very much appreciate all these comments. I did not expect you to be so nice. I expected people to be very angry with the last video that I made, but the opposite kind of happened, so I'm very happy about that. So yeah, let me know what you think in the comments, and then don't forget to do whatever the fuck you want. Bye.